Welcome to Michigan Condo Voices, where real co-owners and real Michigan communities come together. We break down the issues that matter most with clarity and transparency. Let's get into today's episode.
Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie with Michigan Condo Voices. When HOA or condo associations hold elections for directors, special assessments, or rule changes, the mechanics of how the votes are handled can matter just as much as who votes. One role you may hear about, especially when people talk about voting integrity, is the Inspector of Elections. Today's video explains what an Inspector of Elections is, what role they typically play, why they matter to voting integrity, and what boards and co-owners should understand about them. This video is about procedure and clarity. Let's start with the basics. In many association election procedures, an Inspector of Elections is a person or group tasked with overseeing the voting process and ensuring it is conducted fairly and transparently. This role exists in HOA election guides and best practices precisely to help maintain independence in ballot receipt, tallying, and reporting. An inspector's duties typically include determining who is entitled to vote, receiving and securing ballots, verifying proxies and eligibility, counting and tabulating votes, reporting the results to the association, resolving questions or challenges related to voting procedures. Importantly, an inspector is meant to act impartially and follow the association's governing documents. So why do we talk about independence? Many best practice election procedures emphasize that an inspector should be neutral, not currently a board member, candidate, or someone related to a candidate. This is to avoid real or perceived conflicts of interest, protect the integrity of the vote, and give members confidence that the process was conducted fairly. Depending on your bylaws or state laws, that inspector might be a co-owner who isn't running or on the board, a volunteer poll worker, a notary public, or an independent third party who specializes in election oversight. The key point here is neutrality, not identity. Let's look at what an inspector actually does during an election. Inspectors often confirm the list of eligible voters, receive ballots and verify they were submitted correctly, determine the validity and effect of any proxies, count the ballots and tabulate results, establish when voting closes consistent with documents, and prepare a report for the board after the count. These duties help ensure there is a clear audit trail and record of how the process unfolded, which protects both the board and co-owners. If procedures are unclear or undocumented, even well-meaning volunteers can unintentionally undermine confidence. A properly appointed inspector reduces confusion about who can vote, verifies that votes are handled correctly, helps ensure the vote count is transparent, and provides a documented report that can be attached to association records. That doesn't mean disputes never happen, but when procedures are followed, misunderstandings are easier to address than if the process was informal or undocumented. In some documented cases, challenges to election results stem from situations where ballots were handled by someone with direct interests. Procedures for proxies and eligibility weren't clear. There was no independent verification of the count, and voting procedures were suddenly changed from prior years. Those are procedural gaps, and inspectors help bridge them. As associations explore tools like electronic voting or hybrid systems, understanding the inspector role remains important. Whether your association uses paper ballots, electronic systems, or hybrid methods, the core principles remain: transparency in how ballots are received, clear rules for eligibility and proxies, neutral oversight of the count process, and a documented result that all members can rely on. These principles don't depend on the method of voting, they depend on the integrity of the process. Inspector of elections aren't about suspicion, they're about clarity and confidence. When due process is followed, everyone has a clearer understanding of the outcome, and that stability supports stronger governance. If you're curious about how your association handles elections, start with your governing documents. Do they reference an inspector? Understanding that helps you participate more effectively. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening.